Today, I want to talk to you about objections when you propose your offers and how you can overcome them. This is going to be a series over the next few weeks, as the more I started putting this down on paper, the longer it became, and I realized it's too long to do just in one episode. I want to give you the tools that will help you when you're selling your products and services. So once you understand this for yourself, I know you'll share it with others too, okay? When you come to the table to work with your client, you bring along all of your own ideas, your thoughts, and feelings about buying. So the same thing is true when it comes to overcoming objections and guiding people through resistance. And I'd love for you to take some time to get clear about your own objections to selling, because we all have them. And this resistance shows up on our consultations, our sales calls, conversations, whatever you want to call it. So what does it look like? What does it feel like? What is a true resistance that you want to help someone pass through? Or if there's an objection, should you or should you not overcome that objection when you meet with them? Because we all know that people buy from people they know, like, and trust, right? And they buy value, not your price. And part of that value proposition are the intangibles associated with the buying process. And the intangibles include your response time, how easy or how hard you make it to do business with you, and how excited you are about them or whatever they need that made them inquire with you in the first place, right? So I'd love for you to think about it from the buying perspective first. What is your go-to objection or resistance that you use when you're buying? Now I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and I want you to really tune in to ask yourself, what do I normally say when someone's giving me an invitation to purchase? And I'm saying this with love for you, because I had to do this for myself too. For example, let's pretend right now that I just gave you an invitation to work with me. So let's just have you see and listen to that and feel into it. Think about the last time you went to go buy something, anything that felt like a stretch or a transformational moment. What did you hear inside your head? You know that voice on the inside that informs then what we say on the outside? So did you hear, wow, that feels expensive? Or, I don't have the money. Or, I need to talk to my partner or my spouse. Or, whoa, it's not the right time. Or, it's not the right timing. Or even, I will when I'm ready. I want you to lean into those things that you hear, because there's no right or wrong here. And when you're clear on what's showing up in your head, then you can actually learn to overcome your own buying objections. Then it becomes much easier to walk others through it. And here's what else I want you to look at. When you're choosing to sell your own services, if for any reason you do not have a rock-solid, deep, intense, unwavering belief in your price point, in your offer, your service, and in yourself, that is what opens up the doors for someone to step up with resistance. And if you don't feel it, if you don't believe it in yours 100%, well, then you actually didn't sell it the way that you want to sell it. Think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a sales consultation that you were bubbling over with excitement? You can't wait to share your ideas with them, or you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can help them. In fact, you probably were in a consultation and you were just like talking, and then all of a sudden they bought, and you're like, what just happened? What did I do differently? Well, what happened is your belief was so strong and activated that it almost didn't matter what you said or how you said it, because they could feel that energy so much that they bought into your belief, which created transformation for them and let them be in a yes. So we get to identify that for ourselves. What is resistance? What are objections? They are two different things. Resistance is when you're going down the path of the sales conversation and the thing that you want, and it doesn't make immediate sense. It's a moment of a roadblock. Have you ever had this experience when you want something, but then you're like, I don't think this makes sense for me. Something feels off. Now I'm wondering, is it because of the price, or perhaps it is because I'm uncomfortable? So here's a way that I end up taking that on now for me. We just bought some window treatments for our house. And for most people, what they would do is go and save up the money and then go buy the window treatments and then pay for them. What I do differently is when I want something, I go buy it first, and then I welcome in all the money and resources I need, and I'm able then to pay for things. This is just the way that I now understand how to function, because I don't ever want to be in a spot where if I want something, I know I can rule out the price issue and then see if it's a resistance that I'm feeling. The objection is what you think or say to stop and justify the resistance you feel. And there are three main objections we often get, right? They're time, money, and like checking with someone else. So I'd love to walk you through what to do with all of these. And again, I want you to have the lens of which is the one that shows up for you. Because here's the best thing about these objections. You don't actually ever have to even go buy that thing that you think doesn't have a great value exchange or feels too expensive. You don't have to buy it. When you are in a consultation or a sales call, here's what you tend to hear, right? I don't have the money. And have you ever heard someone say after you've given your proposal or offer, like, I can't afford it, or I don't have the money? I need to go see how I can get the money. Any of those phrases? We've all heard them, haven't we? Have you heard, I need to go talk with my partner or so-and-so about this? Sometimes that's actually a parent or a romantic partner, or sometimes it's even a business associate. It's some deferred, I can't make the decision by myself and need to talk to somebody else objection. And we've all heard that too. And what about these? It isn't the right time. I won't be able to book your services until April. Or, I can't book right now. It's really a busy time for me at work. Can you check back next week or in a month? Or even, do you have a class that starts in June? Or if you have September available, I'll be all in. And I'm sure you've all heard this as well. I need to do X, Y, and Z before I can start chat with you. This is the timing objection that shows up. And if you ever have heard, I have too much on my plate right now, this one is the I don't have enough time to even do what you're offering me. And there's only one that I will not support someone through. And that one, and you really need to be mindful when this person shows up, is the person who has all the objections. Because what's actually happening and what they're actually telling me is that they are more committed to resistance, more committed to complaining, or staying stuck, or putting things off than they are to transformation, or even moving forward with their plans. It's the person that as soon as you kind of walk through one objection, they like to throw up a second one. Or when I hear red flag phrases like, I've tried everything, nothing works for me. Or I've tried talking to several people and I'm not happy with what they've given me. Now that's a little bit subtle, but it still says that everyone else is all in the wrong and I can't see anything that works for me. And that's different from, I've tried everything and I really need to find something that will work. Do you see the difference, how those two are very different ways to approach your outlook on life and business? There is resistance in all of those objections. And objections are just buying signals. Most people don't negotiate for things that they don't want. And if they weren't interested, they wouldn't bother asking the question or voice an objection, because it's really a mindset shift to see the opportunities. If they weren't interested, you would have never gotten the inquiry in the first place, much less an appointment to talk with them. So before I dive into all the different objections and what to do, let's ask, why does resistance show up in a sales conversation? Why do we think this shows up? Well, here's the truth. It's not about the money. It's not about the time or the timing, anything else, fear of change, leaving the comfort zone. So ladies and gents, here's what's happening during a sales conversation, and this is true no matter what you're selling. If you're selling a tube of lipstick, a wedding, a coaching service, anything, you are offering someone a way to transform and become someone or do something different from their normal life or routine. And here's what happens. Have you ever seen or known a person in your life who is living a pretty miserable existence and they stay in that miserable existence? Everybody knows this person. My hope is that it isn't anyone listening to me now, because there's always that person and you think to yourself, they are miserable. Why are they still staying like this? You've probably even talked with a friend or a colleague or a client where you've said, hey, it's better over here. Come on over here. I promise you it's better. And they won't. But why don't they? Because our brains are hardwired to believe that change is dangerous. This is legit our fight, flight, or freeze. We are unsafe even if we do something different, even if what is different is delightful. So what happens when you get on a sales call is that you're literally entering a zone of fight, flight, or freeze with somebody when they are presented with a way to transform or do something that they may not be prepared for. So how do we resolve this? Well, I'm going to give you practical words to say to walk you through different resistances, and then I'm going to give you the energetic way to not only have that resistance not show up, but to soothe the person as you go through everything with them and still activate enough intensity that needs to be activated for someone to go into a place of yes. We know why they're showing up, because you're asking for somebody to change, even if it's buying your wedding designs, for example. Or if you've got an e-commerce business, you're doing it when a person is clicking the button to buy something from you. They're becoming someone or something different. And I know that sounds a little dramatic, but that's what's really happening. If you're selling coaching or consulting, you're really asking for people to become different and to trust themselves. So what I do first and foremost, and this is a game changer, this is a get your pen and paper and write it down moment, because this will change all of your sales calls. I've learned to be prepared and positively expect resistance to show up when I meet with potential clients, and not to be surprised when it does. I'm not scared of it anymore. I'm not holding my breath and waiting and hoping we don't have to go through it. So many of the people that I coach get into a space where they get on sales calls, and what they're doing is waiting for it. It's the crap, it's going to happen again moment. And I'm going to say my amount, and then they're going to say, I don't have the money, and it's going to happen all over again. And they're locked into white knuckling it, and they're afraid of it, or they don't want it to happen, right? But I do things differently now, and I coach and I teach all of my clients to do the things differently too, which is you get to be the game changer. You get to show up prepared to understand what's happening. Someone is simply activated into fight, flight, or freeze. You get to hold them and guide them through the process. So I started every call relaxed, now knowing that it's going to show up. And I'll tell you a fun little secret. More and more, as I began to do this, I didn't hear as many objections. For years, I would hesitate saying my close rate for my event consultations because I had a 90% close rate, and most of my colleagues didn't believe me. But you see, I got to the point that I cleared my own objections. So I'm going to tell you what I did to clear my own so that you can do it for yourself. And I'm going to give you verbiage for it so that you can use it on everybody else. So stay tuned for the next episode when we dive into each of the specific types of objections and how to overcome them with the tools that I give you. And again, remember, you're just getting them and you to be at peace with their decision and realize when the resistance comes up. I can't wait to dig into more next week.